Hannah Gadsby can certainly stake a claim as Australia's most successful stand-up comedian at the moment. Her show, Nanette, is winning astounding reviews and international acclaim, including the top award at the Edinburgh Comedy Festival. Hannah Gadsby's done something unique with the show. She's mined her own life and material, as comedians often do, but she's refused to end stories with a neat punchline to make the audience laugh, instead forcing them to look beyond that at the way stand-up comedy skews life by confronting them with her real story. We sat down together at the Opera House, where Hannah Gadsby's Nanette opens in a fortnight. Hannah Gadsby, great to have you on the program.
Thank you.
Knowing that I was interviewing you made me think about stand-up comedy, and actually when you think about it, what an incredible thing it is that a heap of people come into a room and they pay money and one person has to stand in front of them and make them laugh. It sounds on paper so terrifying to be the one person up the front.
I mean, it's dumb. The whole thing is not smart. It's very odd, and it's not something I ever dreamed of doing. I didn't think big when I was a kid. I think I wanted to be a dog originally, but, performing wasn't part of my wheelhouse. I was from a small town. There wasn't theatre or anything like that.
So how did you come to it then?
Desperation. I was really struggling. I'd done an art history degree, so that dead end. I was a cinema projectionist, another dead end. I just entered raw comedy. I don't think things through. Had I known how hard this job is, I probably wouldn't have signed up.
What did you base your show on?
Well, stories I'd already told all throughout my life. They were like, when you're meeting people, you have your little set stories, and mine were always quite funny because I'd always had to explain myself. Being a fat, depressed lesbian, that always needs an explanation. People go, why would you choose that? It's like, well, it's more fun than it looks.
You said before that if you'd known how hard this job was, you would have thought twice about doing it. What do you mean by that?
Being a public figure it's problematic. I developed a persona that then becomes my public self, and that it's quite horrific how easily and how willing people are to tell you you're wrong, just the way you are.
So what do you mean, people telling you that you're wrong?
Oh, the abuse. Okay, I cop abuse all the time, and particularly when, sort of online now is, people have access to.
What for?
My body's wrong, apparently. All sorts of things.
What do you think are the limitations of stand-up comedy as an art form?
I think it's very limited, to be honest. I found that if you're stopping your story at the punchline, you're not getting the third act, almost. Like the bit where something that's quite nice you can share with people, but they're not interested because they're like, go back to the trauma, that was funny. Go back to that bit where you're depressed. I don't want to know that you've got a good relationship with your parents now. Go back to the bit where you don't, that's funny. And I just sort of think that, repeating that kind of formula can sort of suspend you almost in a perpetual state of adolescence.
What is the impact on you of telling a story night after night that you've had to leave out, as you say, perhaps a key part of the story, the resolution or of it or whatever, and you've perhaps had to skew it in a way that makes it work for an audience?
So stand up in a way, if you're telling a story that perhaps is cloaked in a bit of trauma, it can improve the way you look at it because you're getting laughter and applause and feeling connected to the audience. But on the same hand, and this is particularly true at the moment with my sexuality and coming out, because that happened in Tasmania, sort of around the debate around legalising gay marriage. Legalising homosexuality. I'm comparing that to now, where all of a sudden I'm a debatable citizen again with gay marriage. I've realised the way that I've told my story, making it funny and like it's resolved, it suddenly hit me very hard, the way that this debate's being handled, and it's very familiar to how it was handled when I was a kid. And I think perhaps as a storyteller, I have a responsibility to tell it better, because I think I paid a price for a lesson Australia hasn't learnt.
What is the price that you think you've paid?
People were given permission to see me as less, to treat me as less, or my type as less. But also the other part of that is I was taught to hate myself and think that I was less. And when that happens to adolescents, there is, it's not a good start to life. You take a lot longer to become a constructive citizen. You know, puts you behind the 8 ball, and that's what happened to me.
So, given that context, will you participate in the plebiscite?
Well, I'll vote. Also, I'm tired. This shouldn't be happening. To make us subject to a majority vote means that we have to prove ourselves worthy, and that's exhausting. But I think it's also unfair for those who oppose gay marriage, you know, because the no vote comes with it now a lot of stigma, you know, and these people are being dragged out, and you know, because they know they want to say publicly why they want to vote no, and their ideas are steeped in ignorance. But what I don't doubt is what informs their need to say no or speak out, and that's just general concern. And who am I to doubt why people are concerned about what's happening? You know, parents are concerned about the way children are taught about gender and sexuality, and that I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that's good to be concerned. What is not right is that it's placed on me.
So with this very acclaimed show that you've been doing, Nanette, how have you married these sorts of things that you've been thinking about with stand-up comedy?
Prior to this show, you know, I think what I've become really good at is controlling a room. I know how to make people laugh when I want them to laugh, and I'm really good at holding silences in the room. What I'm doing in this show, though, is I'm appealing to people's humanity. So I don't want to win them over with jokes. I don't want to win them over with my opinion. I just want to tell my story.
What has it meant then that the response hasn't just been positive, it's been unbelievable? You know, you've won all these awards, and I've seen, you know, the headlines exhilarating and incredible reception.
It's been very very constructive to me, to my feeling like I belong. So that's been wonderful. This show is by far my most successful, but I can safely say that I've attached less importance to what I've done because it feels like it's bigger than me. I've tapped into a zeitgeist. I'm saying things that perhaps people have thought, you know, like it's appealing to something that I think is bigger than me and beyond me. So in that sense, it's been a very, you know, it sounds like a prime wanker, but humbling, you know, like it's like, but also connected, more connected to the, you know, the world I live in.
So what is next for you?
You know, because I have to generate my own work and that sort of stuff, a break is quite frightening because you go, oh, maybe I'll never work again.
Well, look, if you never work again, it's been good having you on the show this one time at least.
Yeah,
so.
career highlight.
Thanks very much.
Thanks.